has been able to do. Let's see. Okay, I'm not technically savvy, so I'm going to use this. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My friend promised you a song, but he did not deliver. And so, since I cannot compete with him on legal grounds, I'm going to try to get my singing talents do it for me. That statement, what does it mean in Chi? Okay, you know the song, right? Well, I have the diaspora version. It goes like this. Yen susu yasasini ewo ya kumehupa yen sika ninim die na timi aboa ma ya chichiri o maino. Afe edru mususu samubeye bibia mayen. Now this is the point I got stuck, so I guess I'm going to have to solicit some songwriting help from the audience. Is that about right? You think this song should represent what we're about as diasporans? Thank you. When we started this process of organizing the Homecoming Summit, we went out and we formed committees around the globe. And in engaging with those committees, there was a theme, the same thing that everybody was saying. This thing, we've done it before, 2001, nothing came out of it. Why are we going to do this and what's going to come out of it? And so I took that very seriously and decided that I am going to work tirelessly to make sure that the tickets that you purchased, the time that you took off from work to heed the call to come here will not be in vain. And so life after this summit is very, very, very important. And that's what I'm privileged to present upon. When you talk about the diaspora issues, there are three main items that people really do care about. First one is ROPA. Now, I'm not going to present on that. Honorable Charlotte Osei was supposed to do that, so we didn't prepare for that, and she's not here. So let's look at exclusionary laws, which my friend has done an outstanding job proving that those laws are basically baseless. And I want you to give a round of applause to him. He deserves that. The next one, the third one, is what I have a brief presentation on, which is institutional representation. Now, let's look at this list. These are the top 5 foreign exchange earners in Ghana. Gold. I did some research and I could come up with 2 institutions. I had to take the names out because I was trying to save time. They cut out the time. And cocoa also has 2 institutions. Petroleum has 6. Now, the donor organizations, they're all over the place, so I didn't even bother to count. And so when it comes to the diaspora, what institution actually represents us? Well, we appreciate what His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has done by elevating the status of the diaspora issues and moved it from the Minister of Foreign Affairs to the presidency. But I'm a numbers guy, so I just did some digging and see if the numbers bear out this institutional representation. When you look at, let's start with the donors are about 10.8% of foreign exchange earning. Petroleum brings in 1.5 billion. These are 2015 numbers, by the way. And that represents 14.7. Cocoa brings in 2.2 billion. That represents 21.6%. I'm talking about these percentages are off the combined numbers of the top five foreign exchange earners, by the way. And gold brings in 2.4 billion at, let's see, 23 thereabouts. That leaves 29.4%. So ladies and gentlemen, if you never heard it before, hear it now, that your remittances, 3 billion of all 3 billion as at 2015, is now the leading foreign exchange earner in this country. Now, World Bank has us at 2.1, but you do estimate, so there are some scientific estimation that put us at 3 billion, all right? And so you wonder, why is it that these second, third, fourth, all have these institutions representing them, but we don't have any? And so my argument is, it is high time we had a permanent institution representing the interest of the diaspora, and not only that, to fully harness the potential that are locked all over the globe. And that's what this is all about. And so we did a poll. Those of you who registered online, there was a diaspora poll, and we appreciate those of you who took time to respond to those poll questions. We asked a question, and I think I need to go here and come back. How would you like the Ghana government to mobilize Ghana diaspora? And here are your responses. Under the current setup of the presidency, I think 17.35% of you said that is okay. And then you had another 16.3 said we want a full ministry. 18.37% of you said you don't know. But a whopping 44.9%, these are not my numbers. These are your responses, and when we tabulate them, we figure these are the numbers that came. 44% of you feel like there ought to be a permanent institution that when you land at Kotoka Airport, anything that you want to do from land, from registry of business, anything, you just go right there, and that's your one-stop shop. Okay. So now, let's take those items. The current setup of the presidency. Again, we're very grateful. Those of you who have had personal interaction with His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo, you know he cares deeply about issues affecting the diaspora, and really is eager to engage us in nation building. However, when I looked at the poll numbers, I dug into, I said, maybe these poll responders know something that I don't. And so let me dig in and see. Current setup of the presidency, look at the advantages. The status of, it has the status of a presidency. And believe you me, if you think that's not big, yesterday I was here with Nadia, the Deputy Director of Diaspora Relations Office. We were going to call one minister, and she said, let's use this line. As soon as the line rang one touch, it was responded to. And so the power of the presidency, you can't understate that. And of course, there's direct presidential oversight, and it's of course populated by and led by diasporans, and it's supported by consolidated funds. All those are great, but let's look at the disadvantages. Constraints of physical location. How many of you are very, very anxious and love the fact that you have to go through 5 security scans just to go to the office that represents your interest? Raise your hand. Okay, I see one, that's great. And so the constraints of physical location does not bode well for our interest. When you look at the constraints of size and scope, with the amount of work that needs to be done, both in representing our interest and also in harnessing the potential, bringing everything that's locked all over the globe to help to develop Ghana, I do not think that the size is capable of doing it. And so To me, that's a disadvantage. And a lack of autonomy inhibits self-funding potential. You cannot charge for fees or you cannot raise funds from other places when you're harbored under the presidency. And here's my favorite one. Now that we have a friendly president, all that's great. The moment we have an unfriendly president, what happens? Sends us packing, and then we're back to zero, okay? The burden of consolidated funds is also a disadvantage because now you can't raise funds from other places. Let's look at a full ministry. Again here, the status of a ministry is great because, and the scope is wide enough to be able to do the job. And it's supported by consolidated funds. But let's look at the disadvantages. Again, these are mine. I'm sure there are some of you, if you put your bright minds to it, you can come up with more items on either side. But to me, the disadvantages of a full ministry is it can be abolished. We've seen this happen with Ministry of Aviation. Under one government and another government abolishes it. We've seen Ministry of Railway, under one ministry, another one abolishes it. All right? Now, if you've had dealings with the ministry versus other state agencies, it is my experience. Yours could be different, but I'm willing to bet there are a lot more people who agree with me that at the ministries things tend to be a little bit more bureaucratic than at the state agencies. But that's just me. And also, it can be political and politicized. And here's a good one. According to what my friend presented right now, if we had a full ministry today, a diaspora could not head it. All right? And of course, there's consolidated fund support. So here's the Diaspora Mobilization Commission. Call me biased, but I thought very hard. I couldn't find a whole lot of disadvantages. And when you look at a slew of the financial independence, it's an advantage because now you can approach World Bank and all these donors say, we're doing this project, we need funds, and boom, the money is there. It still has the direct presidential oversight. It still has the status of the presidency, similar to GIPC. How many of you know that GIPC is actually operating under the office of the presidency? But you see the scope and the size, how big it is. There's no reason why the Diaspora Mobilization Commission cannot grow into that size while still operating under the auspices of the presidency. Freer access to diasporans. I'm sure you won't have to go through 5 security scans to get there. Now, what would you one of our poll questions also came down. These are your responses again. What would you most likely do upon your return to Ghana to settle? Look at the numbers. Those who want to start their business, 64.6%. Government job, 8%. Private, 4%. And those who want to come and enjoy their retirement, 11.2%, and the rest of them, they're not sure. So again, I'll go back to my friends. A lot of these exclusionary rules, it's like, you know, how many, look at the numbers. These are hardcore numbers from hundreds of people who responded to these questions. And so, if I want to come and start my business and you tell me that I cannot be this, I cannot be that, I'll probably more than likely keep my business elsewhere because the intrinsic satisfaction of coming to help Ghana may not be worth the hassle that we come through. And this is really something that a lot of you have mentioned. And so here's what we're proposing, okay? We've actually put together Kwekwaza, Professor Kwekwaza was part of it. I have to give credit to Professor Edward Akufu of University of Vancouver, and then Isaac Kwesi Sapon of North Carolina. The 4 of us composed this document. We gave ourselves a timeline to finish on Christmas Day of 2016, and he bears testimony. On the morning of Christmas Day 2016, the 4 of us were on conference call. I could hear my kids calling, Daddy. You know kids and Christmas. But we had to finish on Christmas Day, and on that morning, we wrapped up the document that now has been unanimously acclaimed as the policy document that can potentially guide this, the formation of a Diaspora Mobilization Commission. And so it will be governed by a 9-member board, the board chairman, the current director of Diaspora Relations Office, more likely based on the president's decision, could become a CEO instead. That's an upgrade, okay? And he sits on the board. And then we've gone around the world. When you talk about diaspora, I think there is no question that United States and UK dominate in numbers. And so we've proposed one board seat for each of those countries. And then in addition, we have one member for the Americas and one member from Europe, and then a member from Africa, a member from Middle East, and then a member from Asia and Oceania. So these 9 people come to sit at the table with a rich experience of what their respective communities understand and what their needs are. On the executive side, again, we'll have CEO, could very well be the current director of, a matter of fact, more likely than not, he will be the CEO of that commission, Kwesi Ewuabebiu. And this is a chart that we're proposing. Secretary/PA, IT coordinator, you can't do anything without IT these days, public relations, legal, and then 4 continental directors that will be, again, we've categorized them into the respective areas. And we believe this, once this is formed, it would be adequate in representing us and also harnessing the potential that we have locked all over the world. Now, the functions, I'm not going to go through it in time. Again, I think it's been announced that all these presentations are going to be housed online. They're going to be transformed into PDF and placed online, so you can get those later. So I'm going to skip the function area. But how do we get to the end state from where we are? And again, I was gracious, I was happy that the current occupant of the seat, director of Diaspora Relations Office, reached out, and here are the recommendations that I gave to him. Maintain the current office at the presidency, but make the business case for an adequate annual budget, all right? Then rent a satellite office to shift operations away from the Jubilee House so as to facilitate physical interaction. Staff the satellite office using a corporate structure in the previous slides, and grow slowly from there until the requisite statutory procedure to become an independent state agency. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. This is what we are proposing for the president.
Thank you very much, Mr. JERMAINE NKRUMAH and Professor Asare, for your presentations. I've also been informed that